Hello again. It's been a few weeks since I got back from the retreat. The normal rhythm of life and routine has picked up, and I really need to press on and do some of these videos about the retreat and factors framing it, driving it, surrounding it. Two reasons that I needed to do the retreat, further reasons. One is my youngest child, now just 18, has been sectioned under the Mental Health Act for about 2 years for persistent trying to commit suicide, self-harm, and a deeply held toxic belief that he ought to be dead, which isn't a particularly light load to carry, and you kind of need to give yourself space and time to think and feel and process all of that. The big reason for driving the retreat for me is the diagnosis I had earlier of this year, which I'd been coming to for over 4 years, is that I am autistic. All 3 of my children are autistic, and when I saw the Chris Packham, a documentary, a BBC presenter here in the UK, he was a light diagnosed autistic, and so much of what he said, so much of his story, I thought, this is me. And as I've learnt more about my children and their autism, again, it's thought to me, hang on, this is me. So how do you know that you're autistic, Tim? About a lifetime of difficulties, relationships, work, of being able to do things, some things exceptionally well, and other things exceptionally poo, to the point where it is disabling, it limits, it is problematic, it is overwhelming for me. But Tim, you don't look autistic. Now, if you're thinking that, what is an autistic person meant to look like? Autism is a spectrum. It's not a linear spectrum where you've got the worst affected on the one hand and the least affected on the other. High functioning is not used anymore, okay? There will be a variety of impacts, good and more problematic, about being autistic. Think of kind of like a pie chart with areas of different functioning, inputs, outputs, and each autistic person will be either adversely or perhaps beneficially impacted on a variety of those emotional, sensory issues. I'll be doing another video about what it's like to go on a retreat as an autistic, the sensory, the emotional, the relational difficulties and challenges and benefits that going on a retreat as an autistic might bring. That will unpack a lot of the things that I have felt and had to contend with over the years. The big thing to put into this video to explain why I went on the retreat is about autistic masking. How a lot of people go through life so far without getting diagnosed, without recognizing they're autistic, is that you develop at a very, very young age ways of masking, of mitigating, of concealing aspects of being autistic, which to the outside world is largely convincing, but on the inside world, on your internal emotional life and then into the way your life works out, is difficult, verging on catastrophic at times. I'm not understating that. I'm 50 within a couple months. Until the last year, I haven't had a job where I've had a pension. I've never earned more than £5,000 or £6,000 a year in my life, because I find aspects of employment and negotiating parts of that very, very difficult. But I've got a degree, an honours degree, a good honours degree in theology. I've got a good master's degree in television documentary production. I have had moments and flourishes of real good success, of things going really well for me in my life. So it's not that I'm dumb. It's just I find some things very difficult, and that sadly undercuts a lot of the potential and the abilities that I have, and the strengths I have. Autistic masking. Now, it's a lot more than just being situationally appropriate. If you think about how you behave around different people, say your lover and your manager, okay? You're not going to speak to either of those as you would the other one, yeah? There is a time and a place to be different roles to different people. Being an autistic and autistic masking is being something that isn't you to your detriment to many people in different situations. It can be doing things, expressing your ways which isn't you, which can harm you, which undercut your sense of identity, your sense of well-being. It's a very, very complicated thing, and the more you become aware of it, you think, my goodness, this is big. Since working out how I mask and how I have masked like for 40 odd years, it affects everything. There are things that I have stopped doing which nourish my soul. There are expressions of myself which I haven't stopped doing, which give me a sense of like imposter, that I ought not to be who I am. When things do go right for me, I feel that I don't deserve this. This isn't me. It's somehow a misrepresentation of me. How does this relate to going on a retreat? Now, ostensibly, the retreat was Christian faith oriented for people coming from a Christian faith background and needing to deconstruct and work out what it meant to them, how it may have damaged them, or wanting to deal with that damage. I feel I'm not expressing this terribly well. And for me, I came to a very evangelical, fundamentalist feeling and expression of Christian faith in 1986 when I was 13 going on to 14. I worked out and identified that I'd begun masking by the time I was 8, starting to do things, not do things, be things, not be things that were important to me, which really affected me. So my question to myself was my Christian faith somehow a form of masking? Because when I was feeling very isolated, it did give me access to another community, a way of belonging, participating at a time in life, especially when you really feel you ought to be connecting, relating, and joining in lots of fun. Having not really been involved or done anything remarkably Christian for over 15 years, and certainly not since pondering being autistic and how that's impacted me, I really wanted to go somewhere to make me think about that and just cast my mind back. Was my coming to Christian faith just a performance as part of my autistic masking? I feel a lot of it has been, and the ways I've expressed that has been very much to signify to communities I've been involved with that like, you need to have me, you want to have me in your community. But on the other hand, I haven't been who I am. I have shut off interests, parts of who I am, parts of how I express myself in so doing, and it's been damaging to my life, been damaging to my mental health in doing so. But I know that I did begin having thoughts of faith in a creator, in some sense of relationship with a divine being, God, at a much earlier age. So I'm reverse engineering, that's the word. Reverse engineering to the point where I think, yeah, okay, that drives down to the core of who I am, where I'm not doing something to perform, to fit in to a group. My faith, I do relate to the words and teachings of Jesus Christ. As for much of the Old Testament and the Pauline, the St. Paul parts of the New Testament, it kind of made me think, no. I do like the idea of the Logos in Christian faith. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Logos being the undergirding principle, energy, force that holds everything together. If you like, it's a very similar idea, I think, to the Force in Star Wars. And the thrust of John's Gospel, John 1:1, is that Jesus was the becoming human of this universal holding things together, which was a popular concept in Greek thought, the Logos. And John was speaking to a Greek audience. Right, yeah. But if you were doing a gospel to Star Wars fans, you say that Jesus was the Force, and is that Force not just as a kind of energy, but actually as a person. So I know that is where my faith boils down to. How that works out and ties in with the words and teachings of Jesus, I don't quite know. I identify a lot more with pagans, with nature-centered spiritualities, Celtic Christianity. Part of why I love going to a place like this on the way to work sometimes, which is exactly what I'm doing, is I'm filming this on the way to work, just as a bit of soul nourishment. So autistic masking, it is massive. It is very massive, and my going on the retreat was to help reflect and process how I have masked or not masked aspects of my faith for a very, very long time. So yeah, if you've watched this far, please do watch the companion video that I will be recording about autism impacts on a retreat.